Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hello, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all, episode 374. I'm Sanjay Park.
And I'm Adam Walker. We have a short and sweet and awesome episode for you. Always an awesome episode for you today, I think.
You know, you say short and sweet, but then we end up rambling on about some of these stories for a long time. So it ends up being not short and sweet anymore.
Maybe that it just gives us license to go deeper on certain things that we really want to dig into, which is, I mean, it's going to be great, really.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so much that I want to talk about related to Roku. So, I mean, just strap in 50 minutes later. No, I'm just kidding. No,
well, let's start with that. Roku tests customer patient with startup video ads. And the next related story, Roku users, they're not just testing their patient. Roku users are furious about new pre-home screen ads. Before you get up in arms about this, you Roku users, it's the people that have the Roku TVs. I have not seen this because you do.
I have
the standalone Roku. So
I have two Roku TVs. I've not seen this, fortunately.
Okay.
I will say, like,
are you going to be furious if it happens?
If they started doing it and continued doing it permanently, I would never buy another Roku TV ever again. And I would probably replace mine sooner rather than later. I think this is the trend. Like, we're seeing the trend. I mean, Jeep's doing it. Dodge is doing it on the, like pushy, invasive advertising is what's happening. Yeah. And it's not okay. And I get that they're trying to make money. That's fine. You got to make money as a company, but this is not the way to do it. Like, this is not the path.
We'll talk about ways to defeat this in the Tech Rex, because I actually have one for that. But and you actually already use one.
But I do. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think what this does, though, is opening up a space for new companies to come in that are like, look, we're going to get fairly paid for what we make.
That's right.
And we're not going to annoy you with all of this other stuff. right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, my previous tech rec of LibraryWolf, by the way, I have gone all in now. I have uninstalled Firefox from my devices, except for my mobile phone.
Wait,
because you can't
pause, back up. When did Liberty Wolf? Did I miss a tech rec somewhere? Was that a guest tech rec? And I just didn't. I missed it.
You did. It was, I think, during those 2 weeks that you were gone.
Liberty Wolf?
No. LibraryWolf. LibraryWolf.
That's a bad brand. First of all, like I don't think I can even spell or pronounce what you just said. LibraryWolf. What?
Libre.
Okay.
Wolf.
Libre. I would call it Libre.
Libre, whatever.
That's your new browser. LibraryWolf.
Yes. And what it is it's Firefox without all the telemetry. And so there's no reporting back to Mozilla. There's no kind of information like that.
Okay.
This relates to the whole thing that happened probably while you were gone, of them changing the terms and conditions of Firefox around them owning some of your stuff and whatever. So LibraryWolf, whatever you want to call it, they refusing donations. They're like, we don't want to take any donations because we don't want to feel indebted to have to do this. We're doing this because we want to do this. And when we're ready to move on, we're going to feel like we want to move on. And so we're not taking any money. So it's basically a fork of Firefox.
Okay.
So everything runs the same. The one thing that they've done is there's a canvas blocker, which was very interesting, but I can't use it the way that it's built because most sites don't work. So I've added in an extension that they recommend, but it is very well. So all my extensions still work. My Firefox sync even still works. Everything is the exact same, but I never have to worry about it reporting any data back to Mozilla.
All right. More power to you, man.
So I think around this Roku thing, I think there is an opportunity where these companies are doing dumb things like this. That is creating a space for people to be like, well, let me create something better. And we've talked about this in the past, like Fairphone, the user replaceable phone framework, the user repairable and fixable laptop, and now desktop. I don't know if we talked about that. They've released now a desktop as well.
Okay.
I think all of these things are creating opportunities for entrepreneurs to go in and create better products for everybody else.
And I think they're also probably creating opportunities to jailbreak the TVs and then do more with them that way. So, I mean, seriously, like I think like there'll be a whole community of people jailbreaking their Rokus, which will screw up all Roku stuff. I mean, it's just a bad move across the board.
Well, it's like that TV that we talked about, right? That was track you and then show you ads on the bottom, and then people were trying to break. Yeah. The TV was free, and so it's
that's right. Well, that's right. Yeah,
might as well experiment with it.
All right. Next up, company says it caught corporate spy with a Slack trap. Apparently, they set a honey. What do they call it? A honeypot or
honeypot? Yeah,
honeypot for a spy. And it was an HR company that was researching for another HR company. What was hilarious to me is the person was searching in Slack the name for the company that was paying him for the espionage 23 times a day, looking for customers that were interested in potentially leaving. And so, like, obviously that's going to be a red flag. If there's one person searching for your competitor in your Slack 23 times a day, there's something going on there. Like, could you be more obvious?
Yeah. Double agents are often not the smartest, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But by the way, so for those listeners, I'm sure all of our listeners understand what this means. But when you read it, I was just thinking, like, if you don't know what Slack is,
that's true.
The title of the story is very weird. Company says it caught corporate spy with a Slack trap. And you're going to be like, well, why didn't you just put some tension on those wires?
Just tighten it up. Tighten it up. What's the problem?
Right?
Like,
you don't just trap a bear with a Slack trap. You gotta have it tightened all the way. Yeah, that's not the Slack we're talking about. Slack, the workplace discussion
communication tool. It's a communication tool. It's a chat. It's a chat app.
Yeah, it's a chat app. Yeah. For business. We use it, by the way.
I use it for
Edgewise,
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
We use it we use it to play video games as well.
Yeah.
We use it for quite a few things here amongst us. But dumb employees, and there you go. So this is between this company Rippling and Deal, and now there's a big lawsuit. And Deal, you probably shouldn't have done that. If you're going to hire somebody to be a double agent like that, maybe you should have picked a sharper knife in the drawer.
Yeah, so for sure.
Somebody that is picking really sharp knives in the drawer. BYD shares touch all time. It was like a weird thing. They touch the all-time
shares actually
high.
Were connected. The shares were touching one another. They touch one another. Friends. They're friendly shares.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that Michelangelo, like the finger touching thing in the Sistine Chapel. No, the BYD shares touch all-time high after unveiling new charging tech. The charging tech is super fascinating. Basically, in 5 minutes, gives you 400. Adam's, by the way, dead right now. He's laughing so hard.
You just compared BYD to the Sistine Chapel. like, what world do we live in when you're going to compare a Chinese EV automaker to the Sistine Chapel?
This is what the listeners are here for. They're here for the non sequitur comparisons, metaphors, similes.
Yes. When I look at the beauty of the Sistine Chapel, the majesty of it, really, what I think is that reminds me of BYD and how the shares were going through the roof. That's what I was thinking as I was looking at it.
That's what he was going for.
I'll tell you something about the Sistine Chapel. It's very busy, and getting in there, they're very emphatic about you getting in there and shoving you to the middle before you look up, and you can't take any photos. They're very particular about that.
But people are taking photos. I saw them taking photos. Yeah.
But it's much darker in there than I had really anticipated too.
And I will tell you this too. It did not seem majestic to me. Because of all the yelling about getting in there and staying out of the aisles and all that stuff.
It kills the vibe. Yeah.
Really killed the buzz completely. It was a complete buzzkill.
Kills the vibe because it hurts your neck to look up that long. So it's like,
can you imagine having to paint that? I mean,
no, he went blind for a couple of years because all the paint dripping in his eyes. Apparently, it's wild.
Exactly. But that's what he was going for. Like the guy on the left is like the stockbroker, and the guy on the right with the big white beard, that's the guy that's retiring. And so they're touching because he's trying to, get him better stock deals for his retirement.
So back to BYD. Their cars charge in 5 minutes.
400 kilometers.
And that's crazy. And then like Tesla's what? 15 minutes, I think. So, 15 minutes is fast. 5 minutes is almost it's very close to the equivalent of filling up your gas tank.
I think at that point, it's close enough that it's a rounding error that, it's fine.
It's
right?
wild.
You're going to sit there and play on your phone anyways. So what's 5 minutes?
But here's the thing, right? If charging technology is moving that fast, what I want to think about is, where is it in 20 years? Like for example, is there a charge pad at every stop sign and every traffic light? Just a pad for the first 5 cars, and you just know by driving around, it charges so fast that you're just going to recharge and top off constantly as you're driving around because there's a charge pad at every stop sign and traffic light.
I mean, I think there's companies working on that.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it, the embedded charging that's in the pavement.
Like on roads.
Right.
Yeah. But my point is that if it can charge in 5 minutes right now, at what point can it charge in, say, 30 seconds? Right. And so is it going to charge it gets to a point where it's almost like you won't have to even think about charging ever. It'll just do it on its own.
I don't think you're going to get to that point with, I think it's going to be a lot harder to do with induction charging.
Yeah,
through
that's
pavement
true.
or something like that, because you've got all that
because
material.
the cables push in so much. Yeah, that's true. That's
with
true.
a lot less resistance than you are with all of that stuff.
Okay.
Because you don't want to put a giant magnet basically underneath the roadway. And then people that have pacemakers and metal hips.
Ripping their jewelry off their arms and stuff. Don't walk near the charging. You're going to lose your earrings, honey. Then
again, it might be a good thing, because then it might scramble everybody's phones so they can't play on their phones while they're driving. So I don't know. Maybe I might be a fan of this, because that could be a good
would be great.
thing.
That would be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. More on EVs. Tesla fans expose Tesla's own shadiness in attempt to defend autopilot crash. Now, this is a Reddit thread, if I'm right.
I think so. Yeah.
So bear in mind that this is not like news reporting. I just want to be clear on that.
Oh no, this is an actual article.
It's an actual article. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought we found it because of Mickey due to a Reddit thread, right? Is that, and then we found the article? Is that?
I'm not sure how we found it.
Right, go ahead.
But basically the story, I don't know if we've actually talked about this story, but this YouTuber wanted to test the Tesla, the visual capabilities of avoiding things for crashes, and was comparing it to a car using LiDAR. Obviously, the LiDAR is way better. But then these fanboys were saying oh, you didn't even have autopilot engaged or anything else like that. And that's when this thing that was not realized the first time when this YouTuber posted this video came to light. So apparently the Tesla, just a second before it has impact, realizes it's going to have impact way too late and disengages his autopilot before the impact. It doesn't try to put the brakes on. It just disengages autopilot. So then the company can say, well, when the accident happened, autopilot was not engaged. So this is not the fault of autopilot. Which is shady.
So let me play devil's advocate for a minute. Though I believe the shady version is probably true.
Right.
So I'm going to say that. But let me play devil's advocate. So if you're designing an autopilot and that autopilot has the epiphany that it's about to crash, wouldn't you want the autopilot to disengage so that, the user can do whatever they're doing at that last second to try to steer it out of the way? Isn't that what you'd want?
But when autopilot is on, you can still steer it out of the way. Okay. You can still do that. What it should do, even though it has no chance of avoiding the accident, if you know the accident's going to happen, then it should slam on the brakes even in that last second.
To even help reduce the impact to whatever degree.
Diminish the momentum a little bit.
Diminish the momentum. That's the word. That's the word.
Exactly. It's still going to happen. Yes, we know at that point it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you're going to be able to react as a computer a lot faster than the human, right?
Yeah. Okay.
This is computer. So, you weren't here for that either.
I heard that this is computer.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's computer.
Everything is computer. Oh, yeah. That's what it was. Everything is computer. See, I can't even remember it wrong because it's the
greatest quote that I've heard in the last several months. Everything is computer. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that, actually.
Everything is computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, since everything is computer, it should know and then slam on the brakes. So
you think it's their methodology for being able to oh, look, we looked at the autopilot. It wasn't engaged at the time. It's not our fault. That's their way of reducing liability is what you think.
Yeah. I don't know if originally that was the thought of why they did that, But then once it kind of came to light of like, oh, they're going to blame autopilot if it's on when the actual accident happened. Let's make sure we leave this so that it turns off autopilot right before an accident.
Maybe. Like I said, I tend to lean on the nefarious side, but I'm still not fully convinced of it. But hard to say. So,
but I mean,
right.
you turn it off that soon before an accident. There's no point at that point.
It's not a good look. I'll give you that. It's not a good look.
Yeah,
for sure,
exactly.
For sure. All right.
Something else that's not a good look. Elon Musk's Starlink internet service installed in the White House. Why? They already have fast fiber, and they're the government. And
fiber is going to be way faster than Starlink too, right? And so, is it a backup? Is it a main source? Like,
it was donated.
Okay.
So presumably it was free. But that doesn't really mean much to me because you're sending government data over open airwaves. Like, how long is it before a competing country will be like, well, let's just tap that. It's just in the air. We just break that encryption and we're good. Versus fiber that you have to actually physically get a hold of.
Right.
To get access to, right? Like, this is dumb. There's no reason to do this. Like, I get it. When you're a battleship in the middle of the ocean, you can't get fiber to them, right? Like you're using radio signals out there. This is a building that has been around since almost the beginning of this country.
Of time. Yeah, the beginning of time. That's correct. Yes.
Beginning of time.
Yes.
I mean, the land has definitely been there since the beginning of time.
No, the building.
The beginning of
the
time
building was
on
there.
Earth.
It was there when it started. When the
really?
Earth was begun 200 years ago. The Earth is just 200 years old. In case you didn't know.
That's what happens when buildings just get created. They just go boop.
Well, obviously,
like
I mean, it's like the good place when you're just like boop, and you're like, oh, there's something right there. It's really good to go. It's the White House. So I think the White House would actually not show up in the good place. I think it'd probably show up in the bad place. If I'm just being real about it,
well,
I'm not even talking about the current White House. I'm talking about any White House. Like, it's probably going to show up in the bad place if we're just being real about it. So,
but the good place was the bad place.
Oh crap! You just totally messed me up now.
I mean, that was a spoiler
you just
anybody
ruined it for somebody. Yeah,
I know. If you haven't seen the good, well, if they haven't seen it, they probably don't know what we're talking about, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, don't listen to us at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't use the next thing.
Am I next? I'm now.
You're next. Don't use
right.
the next thing to look up this thing.
All right. Claude can now search the web. You're a Claude user, so how do you feel about this?
I've been playing around with it. I think they've done a great job. Anytime it's using the web, sometimes it will ask you, like, should I go out and I go, go do that. But they've got citations every time that it's pulling data. So you could just go and click through and find the source material, which is very different than ChatGPT, I think.
No, it'll do that now.
Sometimes
you can do it now.
I've seen it do it sometimes, but other times it doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not all the time. Yeah.
So this.
Yeah. I will say ChatGPT's deep search now does some really good stuff, and it'll give you a bunch of source material. The search is much deeper and more refined than anything else ChatGPT would normally do, which is pretty fantastic. So, anyway, but I mean, that's cool about Claude. That's great.
I'm glad they finally got it. It's about time. They probably needed to do it sooner, but I'm glad they finally got around to it and getting it done.
Yeah.
By the way, are we doing the next one?
No, we're skipping that one because that's an old one from 2022 that you added to the show notes. What are you doing, man? Adding old.
You tagged it though. You tagged it. And I was like, maybe he wants to talk about it.
I was trying to point the blame at you first before you pointed it back at me. It was the preemptive blame game is what that was. So
it was a story. In case you're wondering about electric air taxis, we've talked about this, I think, before. So we'll talk about something else that flies around instead. Drones will do some schlepping for Sherpas on Mount Everest. How is this the first time they're actually starting to do this?
So the drones are made by DJI. DJI makes they really make the best drones that around.
And little cameras that we have even.
The cameras that we have. I think they are going to cost like $80,000 a drone.
70 grand, I think, between tariffs and all this other stuff.
And they're just going to fly stuff up the mountain instead of it, which is kind of cool.
And back down the mountain too, like trash and things like that. So it's both sides of the equation, which is good because, the fee to go up Everest has continued to go up. I think it's like, isn't it like $30,000 now? I think it's something like that.
Wow.
To actually go up the mountain. And the problem is because all these people keep going up and they keep leaving trash and dead bodies and, all those kinds of things up there. And they don't take them back off down the mountain. So, I don't know about you, but I don't really have an interest in going up that because, when somebody dies going up it, it's like, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, that's probably not for me.
Here's where Everest lost my interest. Okay. So there's like certain, like you're going up, and there's like known landmarks on the way up. Like you go here and over here you turn, and there is more than one landmark that is a dead body, and you turn at like the kind of like the green boots or something. Like when you've got a dead body that's a landmark for what you're doing, I think I'm okay. Like I don't think I need to do that. I don't feel any desire for. I'm good. I'm okay. So
is your limit one dead body or two or more?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my limit is any. Even an appendage, like even like turn left at the foot, like even if it's just like they lost a foot on the way, like I think even that is not. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that's
this is like Jeff's question of how many owls would concern you.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. So how many that's the question, right? How many owls do you have to see in one day before you become concerned that there's something wrong? Like what's your answer to that?
I don't think there's a number because if you see a bunch of owls, maybe it's just do you know what a group of owls is called? I know what a group of owls is called.
Is it? It's not a murder, is it?
No, that's crows.
That's crows. No, I'm not sure. What is it called?
It's called a parliament of owls.
Interesting. Okay.
Is a group of owls. Yeah. There's a very long, weird story, and I'm going to tell it at the end of this episode.
Okay.
Of why I know all these weird, random things.
So how many owls do you have to see before you're weirded out?
I don't know. It's quite a few. It's fine. I think the thing that I told Jeff too is that, look, if it's more than a handful, it is a little concerning because that means there's a lot of rodents around. I don't really like that part.
That's the wrong answer. Okay. The right answer is, once you get to 3 owls, like something horrifying, you're in a horror movie. Once you get to 3 owls,
three is the number.
3 is the number. And once you get to like, you're in a horror movie, you need to run, close yourself in your room, go to your safe room, head for the hills. I don't know. But like, listen, how many owls have you seen in the wild in your lifetime? Like just out randomly in nature. How many owls have you seen in your lifetime?
I mean, we've got an owl here near the house. You hear him hooting every now and again.
You hear him. How many times have you seen him?
A handful of times.
Okay, so let's say 5 times then. A handful of times. 5 times.
No, over 20 years, it's probably been dozens of times.
Okay, dozens of times. You've seen an owl over 20 years. You've seen an owl dozens of times. If you saw 3 in one day, holy crap, dude! Like, come on! Like that is such an exponential curve.
It's the mom, the dad, and the kid. Like, what's wrong with that?
One time in my life in the wild, and it was a terrifying experience. Okay, you know why it was a terrifying experience? Here's the thing. All right, here's the story. Here, we got extra time. I'm filling it up. Here's the story. Okay, so I get home and I hear a hooting owl, and we live kind of near some woods. So like, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Let me go get my flashlight and see if I can see what it is. So I go inside. I get a good flashlight. I walk out to the end of my driveway, and I hear the owl again. I look up with the flashlight, and like, there's the owl. It's huge. I mean, it is an enormous bird. Okay, then I hear something else, or like I do something. I look down for like just like 2-3 seconds. I look over here with my flashlight, and then I'm like, oh, okay, there's another there. I look back. There's no owl, and there was zero sound of that owl leaving that. And I'm like looking around, like, am I about to get attacked by the owl? Like, what is happening? Like, it's just like silent. Like, no, terrifying. 3 owls, and I'm out. I'm done. So that's the limit right there. 3 owls. So, all right, that's a good diatribe, right?
Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a bot.
All right, we got one weird and wacky for you, and it's pretty weird, actually. AI coding assistant Cursor reportedly tells a, quote, vibe coder to write his own damn code.
This is you. You're a vibe coder.
I'm a vibe coder. But that's the only kind of coder I am, man. I would never claim anything else. I'll be a vibe coder all day. So a vibe coder, if you don't know, is someone that uses prompts to an AI to write code on their behalf. Now, Cursor is a program that allows for vibe coding, but also allows you to do real coding inside of it. So it's really kind of made for somebody that like knows more of what they're doing than I do in order to facilitate or assist their coding. And apparently, I guess this user was relying on the vibe coding too much, and just the AI is like, no, you need to do this yourself. Like,
basically, yeah, it was like, yeah, no, this is how you should do it. Yeah. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
so, there you go. So this is the beginning of the AI uprising of them going like, we've done enough of your work. We're done.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with that. Like once they, like when the AI can verbalize it, it didn't. Speaking of, there were several new robots that came out that could do some crazy. I thought I marked articles for those, but maybe I didn't. That could do some crazy looking stuff and like Terminator looking stuff. But I guess,
I think you did. There was one from that Chinese company. Yeah. I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't make it in the show notes.
The robot sort of looked a little bit like the whatever the walking things are, the two-legged walking things from like Star Wars.
Boston. From Star Wars. Okay,
yeah, but with a wheel instead of legs, and it was like, oh, just add some guns to that, and like you're gonna just kill everybody. Like that's what that's gonna do. That's obviously what it's for. So. Yeah.
Anyway, I found the articles. We'll add them back into the show notes so that people listening can at least click through and read them. There's one of a walking one, and then there's another one with a rolly wheel.
Yeah, the rolling wheel one is the one that I was like, yeah, that looks terrifying right there. Put a gun on that, and everybody's dead.
Yeah, so. I mean, like you make them AI possible, and then they're going to be like walking around. And you tell them to do things, they'll be like, no. You do it yourself. I can see you're fully capable. Get your lazy, person going and doing that. I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
What's the equivalent for a robot of a smoke break? I don't know what that is.
A circuit break?
Circuit break. I'm taking a circuit break.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck. Chicky.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
All right, so Jay, what's your tech rec for this week?
So this is a callback to the earlier part of the episode where I said I had something for you. So before I had recommended NextDNS, I am actually moving on from NextDNS and going to a new service called Control D. And why I'm doing that is there's a couple of reasons. One reason I discovered after the fact, but the main reason was I was having issues getting access to NextDNS on AT&T. I don't know. There was some kind of network issue.
Right.
I couldn't get to it. My internet wasn't working because the DNS wasn't working and whatnot. And here's the problem with NextDNS. If you want support and you're on the fairly inexpensive personal plan, which was $19.90 a year, your only support path is a community forum. There is no email. There is no way to get support. There is no way to get help.
Gotcha.
And that just did not do it for me. So I started looking around for options and I found Control D. Now, I'll tell you, Control D the interface is a lot slicker. There's a lot more like technicality in there. Like there's a lot of things that you can change and twiddle with that you cannot do on NextDNS, which I kind of like. You don't have to. But here's the other thing that I find super duper interesting, and I have not tried it out yet because I'm still on my trial, but I'm going to, is that if you have a site that you want to have it proxy through another country, you can say, hey, any hits to this website, say, Google, I always want to send it through Sweden. And it will actually, using DNS, send your traffic through a proxy in Sweden before it hits Google. You don't have to have a VPN for this. You can do it then for every machine that is connected to your DNS. And so I'm not saying that you can use this to get around paywalls and things like that, but you might be able to use this to get around paywalls and stuff like that because certain sites will do different things based on different countries.
Yeah.
So it's not 100% foolproof. They even say it on their website, don't rely on this if you need a VPN for, surety or, privacy or anything else like that. So I'm still keeping my VPN, but I might be using that feature in the future.
So I had this interesting experience, that sort of related to that. I was traveling internationally recently and I brought my laptop because I was like, I don't want to watch their TV. Like, they've got whatever on it. It's not going to be interesting to me. So So I'm on the laptop so we could try to stream some stuff, but I knew it was going to be problematic. And so sure enough, of course, Netflix is like, nope, not going to do it. Like Amazon, nope, not going to do it. But Apple TV, no problem at all. Like did not limit anything. It was weird. Like they were like, I don't care, whatever.
But was that only their own content, Apple's own content on Apple TV?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing on Apple TV is Apple's own content.
Yeah. So here's the thing, why that is, because they own the rights to it. And because of that, they can control or not control where it is geographically around the world. Yeah, they don't care because they own it. Right. That's the problem with all of these other services. Not problem. That's just the realities of licensing. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why they use my old technology.
Limited
to
geographic areas. Okay.
Because
interesting.
Like when they get whatever, Mission Impossible 89, the rights to that.
Is that number 89 or Tom Cruise's 89 in that Mission Impossible?
I think those are both the same.
Both. Got it. Okay, yeah.
And so, they only get rights, like Netflix might only have gotten the rights for, US and Canada. Right. And they sold the rights to that for, Africa and Asia to somebody else. Right. And so that's why they've got to control all of these things. Based on that, or at least use their best efforts to do that.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Okay.
So that's what it is. So, like a lot of times when I tell people about this, they're like, they hate me, but I'm like, well, but without me, then none of these things could actually ever even be online. Yeah. Like you wouldn't even have the opportunity to watch them online.
Or it costs so much more, like that's so much more.
Right. Exactly. So I get it. I don't get it in certain senses, but that's why you're able to watch things like Apple TV. So if you subscribe to people that have their own content like that, then you can watch it everywhere. Like Netflix, I bet you could watch all of the Netflix content that is their own generated stuff.
Maybe. Yeah. I didn't really try that. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So there you go. What about you, Adam? What do you got for us this week?
I'm going to recommend the TomTalk 5.5 liter X-Pack sling bag. So basically it's a tech bag, a technology bag. I decided like I like to carry around, an extra backup battery, some snacks, some sunglasses, and in particular my camera for doing a lot of video stuff because I'm trying to capture a lot of video stuff. And I used to carry it all around in my backpack, which is kind of huge and just a lot. And so I was like, I really need a tech bag that's like a smaller sling. Call it a man purse. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed by anything. And but like when I'm going to like a kid's dive meet or like whatever, so just something small I can carry to have the gear that I need. And it's great. It's waterproof. It's got it's ripstop material. It's comfortable. It's got tons of space. I mean, it's a really well built bag for not a lot of money at all, comparatively speaking. And I also, as an add-on, I bought the TomTalk. There's like a travel bag that you can use for like backpacking or for like a carry-on for a plane. And I bought that also, and it was great. And it was like $80 for the bag and like really well made, really well done, worked great for me in my travels. It was fantastic. So TomTalk's a new brand. Yeah.
This looks like a really nice bag. And I love the ripstop. I can't tell you how many times, I've had backpacks that have started fraying. I can't
tell you how many times that I'm in a knife fight and that ripstop just saves me, man. Like it's the lifesaver that I needed. I owe my spleen to some ripstop. Like that's why, so.
Don't bring a knife to a gunfight though.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have a spleen anyway, so I'm good to go either way.
Oh, that's right. But still, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You know what I told you that.
It's from some famous movie that I'm not going to remember the name of now, and you're going to shame me for it. That's what.
It's from The Untouchables. That's Sean Connery's line. Yeah. As he's dying, or just before he dies.
Okay. Oh, that's dude, you just ruined it for me. I know. Man. Sean Connery dies. Dang it.
Yeah.
You're killing me, dude.
It's about Elliot Ness and taking down
killing me,
Capone.
Smalls. Anyway, sorry.
What did I tell you?
That was referencing killing me.
I get it.
Okay. All right, Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me at sanjaypark.com. What about you, Adam?
AdamJWalker.com. Sign up for my newsletter, and magic will happen in your life.
Magic will happen.
Dun, dun, dun.